All right, welcome back. Today we're stepping into the kitchen to settle a really hot debate. Traditional nonstick pans versus all those so-called non-toxic ones. We're gonna see what's really going on when you're searing a steak or frying an egg. You know the feeling, right? You're holding your breath, trying to flip that perfect, delicate omelet, just hoping it doesn't break and turn into scrambled eggs. That one little moment in the kitchen. It perfectly captures the heart of this whole debate, the trade-off between pure convenience and some pretty big concerns. Okay, so here's how we're gonna break it all down. First, we'll frame the big debate. Then, we're gonna decode what these pans are actually made of. We'll dive right into that forever chemical question, see how they really perform in a real kitchen, and ask if they're actually built to last. And then, at the end, we'll pull it all together so you can figure out what's right for you. All right, first up, the great pan debate. And really, it all boils down to a super simple conflict. The pans that are the absolute easiest to use are, well, also the ones that have the most questions swirling around them when it comes to health and the environment. So let's just get our terms straight, because it can be confusing. When we see traditional nonstick, we're talking about that classic slick pan with a synthetic plastic-like coating. And when you see non-toxic, that's the label for cookware that completely skips those synthetic chemicals. We're talking about things like cast iron, stainless steel, or ceramic. So let's peel back the layers. What is actually on the surface of these pans? What are these coatings really made of? And this is where you see the huge difference, right? It's basically plastic versus, well, sand or just plain metal. Traditional pans are coated with a plastic called PTFE. You've for sure heard of its biggest brand name, Teflon. On the non-toxic side, you've either got pure uncoated metal or, with ceramic pans, a coating that's literally derived from sand. And yeah, that plastic coating, that's what leads us straight into the biggest, most heated part of this whole debate, forever chemicals. So, PFS, what is it? Well, it's this massive family of thousands of man-made chemicals, and they've earned that scary nickname forever chemicals for a good reason. They just don't break down easily in the environment or in our bodies. The key thing to know here is that they're used to make that super slippery PTFE coating on traditional pans. Now, you've definitely seen this on a box, right? A big label that says PFOA free. And look, that's technically true. PFOA is an older type of PFOS that got phased out. But it's not the whole story. Not by a long shot. Often, manufacturers just replaced it with a newer, slightly different PFOS, like a chemical called Gen X. And this really gets to the heart of it, coming straight from cookware experts. PFOA-free does not mean PFAS-free. It's a specific marketing claim. So if you're really trying to avoid these chemicals altogether, you need to see the words PFAS-free printed right there on the label. So you can see why this is such a complicated issue. On one side, you have regulators saying, hey, if you use the pan correctly, don't overheat it, you should be fine. But then you have scientists on the other side raising a red flag, saying, hold on a second, these new replacement chemicals might actually carry the exact same health risks as the old ones. Okay, enough of the heavy science stuff. Let's get back to what really matters on a Tuesday night when you're trying to make dinner. How well does the pan actually keep food from sticking? Let's just be honest. For that right out of the box, nothing is going to stick performance. Traditional PTFE is king. It's cooking on easy mode. Ceramic pans feel amazing when they're new, but that nonstick power tends to wear off. Cast iron and carbon steel, well, you have to build up your own nonstick surface. And stainless steel, that's all about your cooking technique. So you hear this word seasoning thrown around, and it sounds kind of intimidating, right? But it's not. All it is baking a super, super thin layer of oil onto a cast iron or carbon steel pan. You heat it up, and the oil basically transforms. It polymerizes into a hard, natural, nonstick surface. The more you cook, the better it gets. Okay, performance is one thing, but what about durability and your money? How long are these things going to last? And maybe more importantly, how much heat can they actually take? So let's get one thing straight. Our traditional non-stick pan, it's not a forever pan. That coating is super delicate. It scratches, it wears down, and after about 1 to 5 years of normal use, you're probably going to have to replace it. But then you have the complete opposite. We're talking about solid chunks of metal. Cast iron and carbon steel pans are pretty much indestructible. Seriously, these are the kinds of pans people pass down to their kids and then their grandkids. And this might be the most important safety difference of all.
You absolutely cannot overheat a traditional nonstick pan. If you get it above around 680 degrees Fahrenheit, that PTFE coating can actually start to break down and release some nasty toxic fumes. Metal pans, they love the heat. They're perfect for getting that incredible high heat sear on a steak.
All right, we've talked materials, we've talked chemicals, performance, and how long they last. So, with all of that on the table, how in the world do you actually choose a pan for your kitchen?
Okay, let's just lay it all out side by side. This really puts the trade-offs in black and white, doesn't it? With traditional PTFE, you get that effortless nonstick surface, but it comes with the PFAS concern, a short lifespan, and you can't use high heat. With the non-toxic options, you dodge the chemical worries, get incredible durability and heat performance, but you have to give up some of that out-of-the-box convenience. So you see, right, there's no single winner here. There's no one best pan for everybody. The right choice is all about your personal priorities. Is your main goal just maximum convenience for your morning eggs, or are you focused on buying something that will last forever and lets you avoid synthetic chemicals completely? It all depends on what you value most.
And that's really the final thought I want to leave you with. When you're standing in front of the stove, think about it. In your kitchen, for your cooking, what's the real price of convenience?